now all the stuff that is coming out now, and they're referring back to all these specific emails that show the business connection or the money he got. It's all in the movie.
With that, so for you, you wrote My Son Hunter. So Robert Davi, he directed the film. Robert Davi was on Die Hard. He was on one of the James Bond films. He's been on tons of Goonies, Predator 2. I mean, this guy's he's been everywhere. I would say he's that guy in that movie. When you see him, that's that guy. He's on that one thing. But I'm a movie buff, so I know who he is. I'm like, oh yeah, he was on this, this, and this. Now, did he shoulder tap you, say, hey, can you write this? Or were you already writing it? You sold it? How did that work for you?
Actually, the producers, I had worked with the producers on several projects beforehand. One of them was I did a rewrite of a movie that became Obamagate, which were the texts of the two FBI agents, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, I think her name was. Yeah. And it was their texts that were released under FISA, what do they call it? Freedom of Information Act or something. Anyway, about how they were trying to take down President Trump before the 2016 election in the FBI, right? And it was just so amazing, but also kind of entertaining because they were having an adulterous love affair, right, at the time. And so, yeah, they dramatized that, and I came in and did a rewrite, and we did a new version of it called Obamagate, and that was where Dean Cain and who's the other one? Kate. I forgot the actress.
What?
Christine Swanson. Yes, I'm sorry. Anyway, they did it on stage as a play. It was really quite entertaining. So I'd worked with them before, and just they called me up. My gosh, when was it? I don't know, 2019, I guess, or something. And they just said, look. Or no, 2020, because I moved to Texas, and they're like, we want to do a movie on Hunter Biden's laptop. That's all we know, and it's not and we don't want to do a documentary. We want to do a narrative feature, but they didn't know what. So they said, come up with some ideas, and so I did. I came up with some ideas, and they liked one of them, and the one that we have. And my angle on it was this: it was, look, this is something that's, and at the time. Remember, it was still being censored by all the national news medias, except for the few independent journalists and such.
Sure.
But the information on there was so damning, but also so important, right? Yeah. But there was a lot of it, and it was complex. All the connections were really complex. So I'm thinking, this is going to be, I don't want to do a documentary anyway, so I'm glad they didn't want to either. Yeah. And I thought, how can we handle a lot of information but do it in an entertaining way? And secondly was we were all interested not in doing a hit piece on Hunter Biden. That's what Hollywood does when they do hit pieces on Republicans when they do movies, right? But we actually thought, you know what? There's something very fascinating about him. He's a very interesting, tragic hero, almost Shakespearean in that sense, right? Because here he's this failure of a son, and there's a very much of a sort of a mafioso relationship going on there. And also there's the dead brother who had died, and he was the perfect son. And Hunter was the F-up son, right? And so there was this trio relationship, father-son relationship going on with these brothers. And very tragic though, too, So we wanted to deal with his addictive personality. Sure, we're going to have a little bit of the sex on there and the drugs and stuff, and that's where the humor comes in as well. But it really wasn't about like, oh, look at all the sex and stuff, the drugs that he's doing. It was like, look at this tragic character who has everything, and yet he destroys himself and his own family even. Or let's put it this way, he's doing the behaviors that would normally destroy the family, but because everyone's covering for the Bidens, he's getting away with it, right? So anyway, there's all these factors, and I thought, what's the best way to handle all this stuff? And I had always been inspired by these dark comedy stories about complex issues that were political satires. I thought political satire is the way to go, like The Big Short. If you've ever seen The Big Short, they're covering the whole housing collapse, and it's like all these details. Well, how do you do it? Well, you do it where you do it like a comedy, and you can jump in and out. You could break the fourth wall and talk to the audience. You can bring in all kinds of things that can help you deal with a lot of information and quickly, but also with an edge of humor. It makes it more entertaining, because that was the goal. We wanted to tell an entertaining story, and also Wolf of Wall Street. Very kind of similar in that sense. It was a horrible movie, but the technique of this dark comedy type of thing, and because I thought, look, I mean, an addictive person, a guy who's addicted to sex and drugs, that's the Hollywood glitz right up there, right up front.
Sure.
But then there's that deeper familial, tragic thing that's going on in the relationship, and so that was what we wanted, and so I wrote it, and then when we got the script to the point where we wanted it, then they found Robert Davi, and he came on board. But the interesting thing about it was that when the movie came out, all the left-wing news media and film critics and all that, they of course hated it, which is a badge of honor to me, because I think they hated it because it was good. But what's interesting was, several of them had actually said, it's really strange, but they kind of make Hunter Biden empathetic.
I read that. I read that.
And some of them even thought maybe they didn't mean, they probably were unwillingly showed him empathetically and didn't mean to. And like they're such idiots. They can't conceive of anybody doing something other than propaganda like they would do it. Like if I was doing propaganda, if I was doing stuff like this, I would do propaganda and make him look bad. It's like, no, you idiots. We're telling a great movie story, and that means having the hero, even though he's a tragic hero, that means he has to have some empathy for him. That's normal storytelling, right? So I was kind of proud of the fact that the leftists who hated it but were still begrudgingly admitted, well, they did make him out to be an empathetic hero. Well, yeah, that's protagonist, right? That's not a hero, a protagonist. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting to me. And that felt good, so
yeah. It's and it's like we were talking about earlier. It's harkening back to not making that cardboard cutout and then just making a caricature of like, oh yeah, let's just get whatever we're hearing about the laptop and just throw it on there and make him look like a deplorable human, right?
What's interesting to me though is now all the stuff that is coming out now, and they're referring back to all these specific emails that show the business connection or the money he got. It's all in the movie. It's all nothing of it. There's very little of it that's new. All the revelations that are in the movie because it's been around. And so I'm kind of proud of the fact that, oh yeah, that's in the movie. Oh yeah, that's in the movie. So the movie is still very relevant. Nothing's really been disproven. And so, yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.